coming up on Lifestyle.
Okay, just look at each other and say, I know you are, but what am I? And we're like, but what does it mean? We had no script, we had no sides, we were just winging. Being a wise ass has saved my life a few times. So, people would come up with their script and say, can you say my lines in Texican? Mostly I'm playing bad guys, but once in a while I played mothers, and sometimes bad mothers. But to me, kindness is the most important thing.
Welcome to Lifestyle, the award-winning life coaching show that helps you live your best life possible. Here's your host, Roy Ice.
Have you ever admired someone not just for the roles they've played, but for the courage they've shown when the spotlight fades? For over 5 decades, our guest today has lit up the screen with elegance, strength, and unmistakable presence. From Dallas to Falcon Crest to Friends, her characters were bold, glamorous, and unforgettable. But it's the life she's led off-screen that may be her most compelling role yet. Through fame, personal loss, activism, and resilience, she's remained one thing above all: unshakably real. Please help me welcome a true Hollywood icon, Morgan Fairchild. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Lovely to see you.
You as well. You as well. We have tried to get you on this show for years and years and years. I think it's at least 7 years.
Well, you guys are always shooting when I'm off shooting something else.
I know.
So I'm glad it worked out this time.
I am so excited to have this conversation with you. You have been part of so many people's lives in their living rooms with such.
They don't look that old, you know.
Well, they're in the shadows. We're in the lights here. We're in the lights. I moved to Texas in the early '80s, and
Oh, where?
I moved to Waco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at that time nobody knew where Waco was.
I did because I'm from Dallas. So.
You are. And the show, I know a question that a lot of people have asked, and they asked the wrong person, because when they ask you who shot JR, you were not a suspect.
Well, no, because I wasn't on Dallas anymore at that point.
Exactly.
I
So
wasn't around.
I don't know why they're still trying to figure out if you shot JR, because you obviously did not do it. But what a great franchise to be part of.
Wonderful. You know, and when we first started the show, it wasn't on the air yet. Nobody knew it was going to be a huge hit.
Yeah.
And of course, Larry Hagman and I were the only 2 native Texans. So, a lot of the actors were doing kind of bad Southern accents. So the producers would say, take your script over and show it to Morgan or Larry and have them tell you how to say this. So people would come up with their script and say, can you say my lines in Texican?
What was it like being able to actually do a show right there in your hometown?
Well, you know, we were all excited because, you know, to have a show based in Dallas, it hadn't really been done at that point. Right. And, all these poor Yankees, you know, they came down there to shoot, and they didn't know it would be over 100 degrees, 40 days in a row.
Yeah, with
and
a
so
lot
they
of
were
humidity.
dropping like flies. I mean, big crew guys would just faint on the set. Yeah. It was hot. I remember one scene I had, I think, with Victoria and Patrick, maybe just Victoria. Anyway, because when you're shooting inside, we were shooting in an apartment, a real apartment, and when you're shooting inside, you have to turn off all the air conditioning for sound. And so it's like 110. So then you turn the lights on and turn the air conditioning off. It's like 150.
Yeah.
So everybody's dying of heat. And as soon as they'd yell cut, everybody would run to the real refrigerator and throw it open and stand in front. People are fighting to get in front of the refrigerator.
Oh, my word. You've had an incredible career.
Well,
You are a
thank you.
household name. When people have asked, who you having, my friends are like, who you having on this season? When I get to your name, I'm like, what?
Oh,
That's
nice to hear.
Yes, because of your work in each generation of having such amazing roles that you've played. Most of my contemporaries are like, oh yeah, Chandler Bing's mom.
Yeah.
And so it's been so great just to see how you've continued to reinvent, to just keep your creative arts
Oh, you try to
polished.
keep it going, you know. Your
Yeah.
old broad hanging in. But, you know, I started in the theater when I was 10, so I kind of grew up in all of this. But I've always had this approach that you have to, every 5 years, you have to reintroduce yourself to a new generation.
Yes.
And so when they called and offered me Friends to play Chandler's mom, I mean, I'd played the mother, mostly I'm playing bad guys, but once in a while I played mothers, and sometimes bad mothers, but mothers, you know, of teenagers or kids, and suddenly it's a grown kid. And I remember Cicely Tyson said to me, "Oh, Morgan, you're too young to be that guy's mother. You shouldn't do that. You know, it's going to cast you, you know, you're going to change your casting." And I said, "Well, you know, you got to make this transition at some time, you know." So I said yes, and the show was not a big hit yet. So, but I had seen the show, and I thought the kids were good individually, and I thought they were really good as an ensemble. So I thought it had potential, and I was right. And, anyway, first day on the set, Matthew Perry comes running over to me and says, "Oh, you won't remember me. I used to hang out on the set of Flamingo Road and Falcon Crest with you and my dad." And I said, "Who's your dad?" And he said, "John Bennett Perry, who had a recurring part as a sheriff on Flamingo Road and Falcon Crest." And I'm like, "Oh my God, you were that little kid?" And I'm thinking, I am old enough to be this guy's mother. He was hanging out on my set when he was a kid, you know. But such a sweet guy, and you know, and such a wonderful show to be part of. I was very grateful. I was kind of the first celebrity stunt casting they did, and the first. I think I'm the first parent they had on. So, you know, get the foot in the door there. Be again the crazy mom.
Yeah.
A mom, but a crazy mom.
I want to hear more. We have to take a break, and don't go away because I'm sure you want to hear more too. We're back with Morgan Fairchild. Now, Morgan, something that most people don't know about you is that in 1970, you were actually kidnapped.
Oh, yeah. You know, I'm like one of those people that people look at and think, "Oh, it's a homecoming queen. Nothing bad ever happened to her." So, no, my sister was going to Juilliard, and I'd gone up to visit her from Texas, my first time in New York. And I'd left Juilliard down there at Lincoln Center. I was walking back to her apartment on the west side, and all of a sudden, this big guy comes up and starts talking to me. And I knew you weren't supposed to talk to people in New York, so I didn't say anything. And then this other big guy comes up on the other side and they just kind of picked me up by the elbows and threw me in this cab that was kind of loitering with them. And, you know, back in 1970, it was like thick plexiglass, and the cab driver didn't seem to speak any English. And I am, as they're throwing me in the cab, there's all these people standing at the bus stop, and I'm saying, "Help, help, 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 help," and everybody's laughing. And you know, you realize how easy it is for you to just disappear, and no one will ever know what happened to you. Anyway, so we get in the cab, and I discovered they were a pimp and a pusher, because that's what they told me. They were telling me all the drugs they were going to shoot me up with, and all the things they were going to do to my body. And every time they would tell me anything, I was just determined I was not going to let them see how terrified I was. So every time they would tell me anything, I'd make a joke. And they'd tell me something else, and I'd make a joke. And so finally, one of them looked at the other and said, "You know, she's funny. Let's let her go."
No way.
And they got out of the cab and gave the driver some money and said, "Take her wherever she wants to go." I went home to my sister's apartment, didn't come out for 3 days, you know. But it's like kind of talking your way out of things. Nowadays, you know, they talk about that, of being able to make them identify with you, so you're not an object, that you're a person. But I was just something I was doing intuitively all these years ago, of just being a wise ass. Being a wise ass has saved my life a few times. Don't underestimate being a wise ass.
That's.
Thank you.
There might be a few here as well.
No.
How did that affect you in the rest of your life? I don't even know how old you were when that happened.
I was 20, and I was still married at that time, and I subsequently moved up to New York a couple of years later, and was sharing an apartment with my sister, got on Search for Tomorrow, and started taking Kung Fu in Chinatown, down in Chinatown, where you literally did have to pick your way over Bowery bums to get to class. Wow. And, you know, so it was a little scary, but I was down there 6 nights a week. I remember when I was doing Search for Tomorrow, because I would watch the show every day on our lunch hour, And all the costume people knew you could never put me in short sleeves during the summer because I was always covered in bruises from doing katas and stuff and getting knocked around in kung fu class.
You responded to the kidnapping by saying, I will get physically prepared and physically resilient so
Yeah,
that
I'll
if that
knock you
ever
across
happens
the room.
again, yeah, exactly. I wouldn't take you one. And so you had to respond that way physically, but how did it affect you emotionally going forward to where, did it make you care about some things more than others? How did it change you
Well, I think when you've
internally?
had a trauma, you can either let it own you or you own it. And
Yeah,
you either face it and say, I'm not going to let this get me down. My good English teacher mother always had a great saying, don't let the bastards get you down.
yeah,
And so I've always approached it that way,
yeah,
And so this bad thing happened. I got away with my life. I was very lucky. And I'm just going to be even more careful from now on and learn how to defend myself and also not let it ruin my life, not
yeah.
let it warp my perception of what I was going to do with myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some of your response to what you're passionate about in your life as well is caring for those that cannot defend themselves. And I've seen that in your work with the animal rights advocacy, environmental advocacy. What are some of the ways that you've acted out on that passion?
Well, I'm an Aquarian, so we're always trying to save the world. So, I spend a lot of time on my social media trying to get people to adopt cats, dogs, rabbits, salamanders, unwanted animals. And then I'm on the board of a group called FixNation
Yep.
that I discovered when we had a feral cat have kittens on our front porch, and we had to suddenly fix a lot of cats. And they do a lot of catch and release also. So a lot of animal groups that have feral colonies can bring their cats in and have them all fixed and then released back if you can't keep them. So I work with that and just a lot of different advocacy groups and
Yeah.
always pleading on social media for people to be kind. It's
Yeah.
so hard these days to get them to do that. But, to me, kindness is the most important thing. To me, we are all put here on this earth for this brief time to help each other get through life
Yeah.
and supporting other people, supporting animals, supporting underprivileged, supporting things that cannot defend themselves.
Absolutely.
So that's always been my approach to all of it.
Yeah, and not only animals, you're looking to protect the beauty of the environment around us. You and Ed Begley
Oh, yeah,
did some
Begley and
incredible
I.
work.
Yes, back in the 80s when Hollywood started getting interested in the environment, Begley and I were the ones they would take to dinner when they were forming new groups because we were the science nerds who understood, environmental things. And I remember Senator Cranston had asked me to testify before a Senate committee when he wanted to get Death Valley, Mojave, and Joshua Tree turned from national monuments into national parks so you could protect them better. And I kind of used that testimony, that excuse, to drag in and explain to the senators this new concept called global warming and what it was going to do to our environment and not only to deserts, but turn areas into deserts. And economically, if we are going to survive, we need to be moving to other things because that's where the future is.
Absolutely. We've got to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be right back. We're back with Morgan Fairchild. Now, Morgan, COVID, the last 5 years, has brought itself into your life in a very personal way. Talk to me about how your life has been affected.
Well, I mean, what most people don't know is I have these weird hobbies, and emerging viruses and epidemiology is one of them. And so I had worked with Dr. Fauci all through the 80s on AIDS. And so some of my friends had tipped me off that there was a new virus in China. So I knew it was coming and started trying to prep. Now, my fiancé had gotten Parkinson's, I think, from black mold in our house. Anyway, he had ended up having to stay in a 24/7 care facility. And of course, when COVID hit, he caught COVID the first time, and I couldn't really tell a difference. The second time he caught COVID, he couldn't walk anymore, and the dementia was worse. And then the third time he caught COVID, he couldn't even sit up in the wheelchair anymore. And 6 weeks later, he died of heart attacks, I think, from long COVID. So I was there every day. He had an accident after he got diagnosed with Parkinson's. He slept on his arm all night, and he compartmentalized his arm and killed his arm. So all the protein was going into his kidney, so he was dying of kidney failure.
Oh, my word.
And so he was in ICU at Cedars for 2 months, and I'm over there. I was doing a play, so I'm doing the play and then coming and sleeping on the floor at Cedars at night. And, finally got him out, and still on dialysis and taking him to dialysis and stuff. And so, for people who think, oh, everybody in Hollywood, it's so easy, caretaking and loving people is not related to just one group. I mean, it covers everybody.
No one's
and anyway, so then once he was in the rehab facility, they would work him out every day, but he wouldn't go outside. He wouldn't get out of his wheelchair. He wouldn't go outside. Wouldn't even let me push him outside. Finally, I badgered him into going to physical therapy specifically for Parkinson's. And within 3 weeks, he was walking. So then I would take him to lunch every day. I would take him out and sit outside where he could see. I was determined that he was going to see trees and people walking their dogs and children and other people, and not be stuck in a little room, just just kind of wilting away. Yeah. And so I would take him out every day, and then I'd take him for long drives, and on Sunday I would bring him home, and he could have lunch with our cats, all the feral rescues we have that love to eat his hair. And so just to have a life. But it was just after that second bout of COVID, suddenly he couldn't walk anymore. And so then I couldn't take him out by myself anymore. But, for everybody who's ever been a caretaker, you know what I'm talking about. It is an act of love. And you do for others what you would hope they would do for you. Every once in a while, Mark would say, I can't believe you do all this stuff for me. I'm only alive because of you. And I would say, well, you would do the same thing if it was me. And there would be this silence. And one day we went back, and I said, well, you do the same thing for me. And he said, I don't know if I would. And I said, you would. You would. If it came to it, you would. And we all would. We all would. That's what you do for people you love or people who need help, whether it's someone you actually love or not. When it's another human being that is in need and you can do something to lift a finger to help them, we would all do that. We would all do that.
Yeah.
I know you would do that.
The resilience that you've ended with is resilient love, that you're not going to allow the toughness of the world to toughen up your heart.
Well, no, you can't do that. One of my early mentors in the theater always said, acting is reaching out in love to your fellow man. Yeah. And I've always approached it that way, no matter how evil the characters I was playing were. And it's also the way you approach life, is reaching out in love to your fellow man. Yeah. That's what you do. And I really do truly think that that's what we're all here for in this lifetime, is to help each other get through the vicissitudes of whatever life throws at us. So, and I know a couple of you are going to call me after and say, I need help.
Several. I think we all need help. Looking back at your whole career, if you were to go back and talk to your younger self, right when you were starting in your acting career, what would you say to yourself right now?
Just don't give up. My sister teaches acting, and one of these stories she uses with her acting kids. And because I'd gotten to New York, I still couldn't get an acting agent, but I was on a daytime soap opera, but I still didn't have an agent. And but I had a commercial agent, and every day after work, almost every day, I would take my portfolio in the sun, rain, heat, snow of whatever was in New York, because when you go out in New York, you're in the middle of it. Yeah. And I'd trudge over to the same advertising agencies, and I'd audition for commercials, and I would never get one. And, and this goes on for months. And I came in one day kind of dragging in the rain, dragging my portfolio. And my sister says, why do you keep going? You never get one. Why do you keep going?
Yeah.
And I said, well, if I don't go, I have said no to myself. And I am never going to say no to myself. I'm going to make those bastards say no to me, And, eventually, I don't know if I got better or I just wore them down, but eventually I was kind of doing a commercial a week,
Yeah.
But if I had just stopped going, I would have said no to myself. And I think that's one of the things I see in life is a lot of people who are afraid to take that step, afraid of having somebody say no to you. No, make them say no.
Yes.
Make them say no. Get out there,
Yes.
take the chance on yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Thank
kick
you.
them in the nuts.
Thank you so much. It's been such a delight. It's been such... Morgan Fairchild, everybody.
Thank you.
Don't go away. We'll be right back. I've got some encouraging words for you as well. Positivity and resilience can be powerful traits that help you shape a meaningful life. But how do you actually build those traits in the real world, especially when life feels heavy? Science gives us a clear path. A study from the University of California, Davis, found that people who wrote down 3 things they were grateful for each day experienced increased happiness and decreased stress in just a few weeks. Another study from the APA shows that resilient people share common habits. They stay connected, practice emotional regulation, and find purpose in their daily lives. So here's your next step. Tonight, before bed, write down 3 good things from your day, no matter how small. Tomorrow, take a 10-minute walk without your phone and notice the world around you. And when stress hits, try box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4, and hold again. Now, these aren't big changes, but they're proven ones. Resilience and positivity aren't just personality traits, they're choices, and you can start choosing them today. Don't forget that you can find exclusive content on all of our guests. Check us out on social media using the handle Lifestyle with Roy.